start recording recently. Here we go. So it's started now. So today we are creating, well, we're not creating, we're building our Google Sites up from what we did yesterday. I'm going to start presenting my screen with my Google site. I did do a little bit of editing of it this morning, took out the puppy pictures, took out all of the random things there, so it was a bit easier for us to get started today. Okay, so Google Sites, just in case you weren't here yesterday, Google Sites is a website creating tool. We can create a new Google site from our Google Drive. If I open up my Drive, go to New, then More, and then you get Google Sites. That will create a new Google site, so we don't have to worry about selecting that new Google site option when we go to sites.google.com. We can also do site.new, which is my favorite way of doing everything. When that shortcut came out, I think it was a year ago, maybe 2 years ago, game changer for me. So that will also create a new Google site. And if we go to sites.google.com, we then need to make sure we choose new Google Sites. Now, at the end of yesterday's session, I did show an update that is coming to Google Sites. It's slowly rolling out, so I've got it on some of my accounts, but it's not appearing yet on EduBuzz. I need to check if it's on mc.glow.scot. I'll check that just in a little second. And yes, so that will stop this screen from appearing. Old Google Sites is gone, but at the moment we're still waiting for that to come to EduBuzz. So when you do go to sites.google.com, you need to select new Google Sites. I'll just see what happens when we're in the Glow option. So yeah, the Glow one has been updated. So those of you from Midlothian, you don't need to worry about that, as you have got it launching a new Google site straight away. At the moment, it just seems to be the EduBuzz one's just taking a little minute for it to update. If you will know it's the new version when you go to sites.google.com. I'll show you the difference. So sites.google.com, now you may never do this. You might always just do site.new and then access your Google Sites from there. But if I split my screen, so you can see the difference. When I went to sites.google.com on my EduBuzz, this is what came up. When I went to sites.google.com on my Midlothian account, this is what came up. So this looks more like our Google Docs home screen, our slides home screen, and forms. Sites was this for quite a while, and this update, I tend to find it takes a couple of weeks for it to get to EduBuzz. So it may be that just before the summer that will appear. But in the meantime, once you click New Google Sites at the bottom here, you will get that here. If you are any device, you can split a screen. So you click, if I have it up top here, you'll see along the top, I've got this bar. If I click on this gray bit here, so I'm not clicking on any buttons, and I click and drag that over to the very edge of my screen and let go, that will split it. Okay, just in case you've not used that before. On a Chromebook, you can split a screen as well. You tend to have to hit, there's a button on a Chromebook, it is a few along from the top, and it's a rectangle with 2 or 3 lines next to it. Click that and you'll be able to split the screen from there. So I'm just going to open up my site I was working on yesterday. I'm going to close other tabs at the moment and just tidy up my screen for you. So we are going to focus on adding content to our site. So that's adding materials. I did suggest yesterday, this is a great way of decluttering your classroom. If you have a lot of resources to share and you've maybe got them all in your classroom at the moment, but you've got odd videos, you've got documents, you've got slides and everything. This is a way of us decluttering that. So what I'm going to do now is I am going to start adding things from my Drive. Now I'm going to add these things and then I'm going to show you the important sharing options that we need to make sure we have done in order for this to work effectively. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use, I can either do this insert from Drive over on the right hand side, or I can come down to the screen where I want to add something, do my double click to get that shortcut wheel, And then there's the drive icon. Now this isn't in color here, and that does bother me slightly. But yeah, it's a gray drive icon here. And then I can select a file from Drive. You can embed Google Forms. You can put in, so if you wanted this to be a space for your students to go to for revision, or you wanted it, you could do games on this. So I know there's some schools doing breakout type games using Google Sites with different tasks on it. You can also put in Google Slides and they become interactive. You can put in PDFs, spreadsheets, anything, videos, all of it. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to put in my daily check-in. Certainly if you're an early years teacher and you're not using Google Classroom, this would be a great thing to share with your families, and you could then have some interactive bits and pieces on there too. So you'll see that's put that in. Now, when you're in the edit mode, you cannot interact or test it, okay? So all I can do is I can resize it so it fits a bit better on my screen, and I can shrink this. So I don't want it to be the entire thing, because once I come to preview, which I'll show just shortly, I would then be able to interact and scroll through it. So I don't need to have the entire document or the entire thing shown. So I've popped in a form. I'm going to come to another page. And now I'm going to put in, I'm going to use one of the layouts on the right-hand side. So I'm going to drag this one in. Now, what's worth noting is if you click on a layout, it will put it in underneath. But if I undo that for now, if you click and drag, you can choose where that goes. So that way you can put it in at the top. So that's another little hack for you for using sites. I know some people will just click on it and get annoyed that it always goes down to the bottom. But if you click and hold, you can drag that layout in, let go, and it will go in where you want it to go. Likewise, you can pop them in between. So I've got my layouts. Now I can start adding things in here. So I click on the add button. I can upload, so you can upload from your computer as well. So if you've got images, if you've got videos, or you've got files like Word documents, you can upload them. I'm going to go for my Drive again. This time I'm going to choose a Google Doc. Hope I can find one quite easily. Here we go. First one there. So I can insert that Google Doc into that space. This time I'm going to insert a picture. I'll just Google one off the internet. I'll go for technology today. And I will also upload, I'll get a slide deck from my Google Drive. So if I just search slides, here we go. So you can always search for the file type in Google Drive as well. I will pop in, oh, where's one I can use? I can use this one here. So I've got some questions. If you insert a Google form, can the site then use the data from the form? Yes. So it's just completing the exact same form, you know, like we shared that link last week and on Tuesday. It's just the same. So all of the responses will go into the form itself under that responses tab, and you can get the spreadsheet like we did the other day. And if someone answers a question, can you direct them to a different page? So not on the website, but on the form, yes. So that's giving them a different section in the form. I can recap that at the end of this session as well. How do you add a picture from your hard drive? So I don't know if I've got any pictures on this computer. It's got very low memory on this computer. So if I select an image, hang on, add, upload, can then go into my images. Let's see, I've got the tiniest little screen grab. So I'll pop that in and then you just insert. So choose the picture you want, but you need to choose upload rather than image if you want it to be from your computer. So if you want to put in a URL, I'll show you how to add links into your text shortly, like I do on if I go in the Techity Party one. So on the webinar recordings, you'll note that these are all hyperlinks. I don't think people really use this, to be fair, but you can click on this to view that document, and that's a hyperlink. So I'll show you how to add those links shortly. And are all the pictures? Yes, all of the pictures when you go to that Google image search from within here. if I select image, Google image search, these are all suitable for commercial reuse because this is for Google Sites, so commercial reuse, modification as well. And if putting in a URL, yeah, and how do you add a picture? Done that. Yeah, so we are good to go. So I've now got these things in. I've got on my welcome page, I've got a Google form. So now I'm going to come and preview this. So I'll come in, I can preview. Now, because I'm logged in on my account, I can see everything because all of these things have come from my Google Drive. Now, what you might encounter is that your students, they will see the form because it's got a link. You'll see I can come in here, I can complete this and submit. I am feeling better than a 5 today. And I can go into the name and I can view all of the files. So you'll see here, I've got the file. I can scroll through the Google Doc, or I can come out of here and open the doc itself. So that will open in a new tab. And I can also interact with the Google slide. Now, this only has one slide, but if you had more than one slide, you could go through it. And likewise, you can see the pictures as well. But because I didn't add anything here, these boxes have stayed grey. But the one thing that we really must remember to do is we must remember to share these files. Because if you have not shared these, and when I come into this, this has been shared. But if I create a brand new Google Doc that I want to then upload onto my Google site, now this is something I will hold my hands up and say, I didn't know about until I shared a site with a lot of people that I'd spent a lot of time building. And they went, well, Aileen, nothing's in it. All the documents are missing. You've said there's a document there, it's blank. There's nothing in that space. Or it'll just say request permission. So what you need to do is you need to make sure that every single document that you're sharing has link sharing switched on. And to do our link sharing, I'm aware we've got some questions. I'll just come to those shortly. But with link sharing, we need to go, you can do this from your Google Drive as well. One thing I would suggest if you are using a site regularly is having a folder for that site with the files in it. So if you have a folder for that Google site with all the files in it, and then you can do the link sharing. So get shareable link, then every single thing that goes in there is fine. But if that's not possible for you, you would need to make sure that each individual file, so the ones I've chosen are here, that you have turned on link sharing. It doesn't matter if it's from the hard drive, no, but if it's from your Google Drive, and let's face it, quite a lot of these things will be from your Google Drive, you need to go to the file you want to share, right click, then you get shareable link. Now, when it comes to us publishing, I'll go to the sharing settings because this is quite important, and advanced, not advanced, hang on, ignore that. So get shareable link, switch that on, sharing settings. This is where these little pop-ups annoy me. Get shareable link here. So at this point here, where I've got this get shareable link switched on, right now it's only set to anyone at EduBuzz. So that means that people, if it was anyone at mc.glow.scot for Midlothian teachers as well, you need to make sure that if it's only for your students, that's fine, because you know that they're going to log in anyway to be able to access your site. But if you're putting this to other local authorities, so if you're sharing it with other teachers, you know, in other groups across other local authorities, or if you're sharing it with parents, sharing it with a wider school community, or just for it to be public, like a school website, for example, you need to come to the More option at the bottom, and anyone with the link can view. So anyone with the link can view. You don't want them to edit it. You just want them to be able to view the document. So we just click that, save, and done. Now we'll do that again, I'll do it for the spreadsheet here. So I right click, get shareable link, switch that on. I go to the sharing settings, and then this is where I can change it from anyone within mc.glow.scot or anyone at EduBuzz. I go to that More option, and then anyone with the link. You don't need it to be public on the web, just anyone with the link can view, and then you're absolutely fine and everything on your site will be accessible. Now, they are the key things to remember when you're putting documents on your site. Everything else is fine. They'll work, but for documents that you're putting up from your Google Drive, you need to do that. I didn't do that. My site was awful when I shared it. I thought, oh, this looks brilliant. This is well impressive. It was profiles for primary sevens I'd created an example of, shared it with lots of teachers, and no one could see anything. So is it possible to click and drag buttons, YouTube links, etc. from the right-hand side the way you click and drag layouts? If not, is there an easy way to decide where buttons end up? Now, the buttons thing, I find that same issue. So if you are putting in buttons, and I'll show you the buttons just in a, well, I'll show you them now. So a button is a way that you can link to something within your site or to another website. So if I click button, you can't seem to drag them in. If I click on it, it gives the button a name. So I'll do, I'll link it to another page in here. So to do that, I clicked on the bit at the bottom where it says link, then it will suggest links within my own site. It will also search other ones within my organization that are searchable within there. So anything on published to Edubuzz, and then I can insert. Once you do that, and this is where I get annoyed with buttons, when you click to add another button, it goes underneath. So button 2, and then I pop that in and insert, it will go underneath. So I tend to put all the buttons in, and then I'll just quickly click and drag them there, and then you can drag the whole section up. So I get all the buttons done, and then I'll choose where I want that to go. Right. Next thing I will show is, let's just think here. So we've got our image carousel. That's if you want to have a lot of pictures and you don't want people to have to scroll through. I'll show you putting in a YouTube video. Now, I know not everyone will want to use YouTube videos, but it is useful. Certainly if you want to have videos that you've created. I know in Midlothian you can't create a YouTube channel, but certainly if you had videos that you wanted to share, you can share them from the URL. So I'm going to go to YouTube and probably get the piano guys, or so. I'll go for one of the CA Digital ones. I'm going to come back. If you haven't seen this, it's brilliant. Green eggs and ham wrapped. Very good. So I'm going to choose a video. Just doing a shameless little plug here for the CA Digital YouTube channel. Please subscribe. We've only got 6 subscribers. It's absolutely ridiculous. And you'll see I've got playlists along the bottom. But if I click on here, this is where I don't have any sound coming out, so it's fine. I can choose one of the videos. I can share it. This is another place where you can get all of our webinar recordings just in one place. If I click on that share, that's where I can then go and copy the link, and it's much shorter than the one along the top. Then I can double click to get my spinning wheel, and then the arrows going out the way, they are the embed arrows, and I can paste that link in there. Now I know there was certainly Midlothian, you're going to be using ThingLink for some school tours. So that is also where you can put in the embed code for your school tours using that embed, and then you pop the code in here. So that's how you can do that to share that with students. So if you were creating resources on ThingLink, that could be a way forward for you there. And let me just see. So you can also put in down the side, you'll see all the different options. I'll show you how I did the calendar, because I think that could be quite useful. So on the Techie Tea Party website, I've got this calendar embedded. So this is quite useful if you want to share the calendar for your Google Classroom. So if I just come down, I know this is getting quite messy. Yours are going to be far nicer than mine. So if I select calendar from the right-hand side, now I can choose, and you'll see I've got all of my classrooms. And let's just see, so I've got, let's see where Techie Tea Party one is, all in alphabetical order. So if I choose my Techie Tea Party calendar and insert, I might go for this one actually, insert. So right now there's nothing due. I'll probably actually do the other calendar because that actually has stuff in it, which is useful to see. So if I insert the Techie Tea Party calendar, I can then come into the settings of this and I can choose the way it's viewed. So I can show the date, the title, I can have the navigation buttons. Now I tend to switch those things off. I can have like view selection, and I can also change the way it's viewed. So I can change that to this week. And you'll see in the background it's changing so that I can see if that's what I actually want to do and if that's the update I want to give this. Now, because every single one of your Google Classrooms has got a calendar associated with it, I know in secondary schools I tend to advise using this when it comes to exam time. Obviously, that's not happening at the moment. But when it does come to, if you've got revision periods or, you know, some assessments coming up, you could support the students with some of their revision by using this, using the calendar for the classroom as a planner, using the site to make a bank of their resources, and then they've got one place where they can go to, and you can also link to other useful websites all from here rather than having to scroll through Google Classroom to find them. So all the webinars are located in a list that is on the See It Digital YouTube. So if I just go into See It Digital YouTube, this channel's got heaps of videos and absolutely loads. You can go to the playlist at the bottom, Techie Tea Party webinars. You click View Full Playlist, and then you get to see how my hair has grown and everything over this lockdown period. So yeah, give that all a go with your Google site. Ask questions as well. And I haven't even changed the theme of this one. I'll show you a few wee things whilst you're trying this out as well. So I can change the theme. I can choose the color. I'm going to go for level. I quite like this one. And I could always change the color that appears. So that this will also change some of the text. Other little things that we can do. Now, this is where I get a little bit obsessive with the way my sites are. I hate all this white in the background of text. So down the left-hand side, we can change the section background. And you can change the emphasis. So I tend to have emphasis on like this so that we don't have any of that white. That's this little paint palette that appears on the left when we hover over a section. We can also change it so that we can put a picture in the background. Now, I didn't know you could do this. This was primary 7 students. I was training on Google Sites that started adding pictures, and I thought it was pretty cool. So you can select images from a gallery, and they will go into the background, and it's really quite nice to see. So you can give that all a go. It will adjust for readability. So there's this little star icon down at the side here. You can click on that and it will adjust it. Likewise, you can put a picture into your header. So if you wanted to create your own image for your class, or you had one that you use in your Google Classroom, you can make that kind of a consistent theme throughout. You can select an image from the gallery again. I seem to have updated this, and they'll adjust that for readability. So they always make sure that it's either dimmed slightly so that you can read the text on it quite well. You can add a logo to your website. So in the Techie Tea Party one, let's see this one, you'll see that we've got the mug that you see in our welcome slides every morning. That mug is in the top as an icon. You can add a logo. So you can select a logo as well. And you can do a Google image search. So I can do a class one. And let's just find this one here. These are all there for reuse. So I can do that. And then what it will do is it looks at the picture and chooses colors from it so that you could use in your class, in your Google site. And you'll see that just change that color in the banner there in the background. So it will use that and select. So that will then appear in the top corner. Now, in a school setting, I would use the school badge, or you could create one. You could do that as a task for your students, as a competition for them to create the logo for your site. And they could always create their own ones if they were creating this for themselves. Now, the last thing to show you is publishing. To crop the picture that you use in the header. I think it should do it automatically, and it will tell you what size to use. I just choose this. This is such a dull one because it's a bit of a document. It should just adjust it straight away. I come out of that and choose another one. I've not had an issue with having to crop things and URL links. Yes, I'll show you that. So, but first thing to do is to show you the publishing, because this is quite important for us. I'm aware of the time. So one thing you can do is you can have specific people view when published. To do that, we click on this add person sign like we see in Google Classroom. And I have it so when it's published, specific people can view. I can change that so that it is anyone can view and find and view the published version. So that means anyone without logging in can access this. So that means you can share that link with parents and families. I can have it so it's anyone at Edubuzz, or if you're on Midlothian, mc.glow.scot. So anyone there can view, and that will just mean that so long as they're on Google Classroom and access the link, they will be able to view the site without any issue. And then I can also have it so that only specific people. Now, the ones I'm going to use today are the top ones. So I'm going to do that anyone can find and view the published version and save. So that's that set, and then I can select done. Then when I'm happy, I can go and publish the site. It will give me this here as the option. I can change that. So I can do Miss Mick TTP and publish. And then that will be there. Again, you can change who can view the site at this publish part here. And here we go. So that will publish that site. So now this is there. Anyone can access it. I could pop the link. So you get the link for the published site here. I can copy that. I'll pop that in the chat on the side. That will mean that anyone can go and view that. So you'll be able to access that yourselves. And because we've got anyone, we've got users from Midlothian and East Lothian here, that should mean you don't need to log in to view this site. And I can always, if I change anything and delete the site, when I go to publish, it will go side by side and show me what I have changed. So you can see it's highlighted the change here. It's drawn a box around it. This is what's currently published, and this is the change that I have made. It will list all the pages that you've changed down the left-hand side. And there was a question earlier about using a URL link in text and hyperlinking, because obviously if we were to use the full link of a website, it is a bit tricky. And yes, if you're making a lot of changes, you need to press publish so that people view the changes. If you don't press that publish button, only you can see it. So I always use the example of shops at Christmas. They will have all of that content for their Christmas stock already on the website, ready to go and ready to hit that publish button. Just we don't see it. They don't add things one by one and it appears to us one at a time. They have that full amount ready to go, and then they hit that publish button. Then we as a viewer can use it. So that's certainly the easiest way to explain it. I always think, yeah, they're not uploading one thing at a time. They've got the whole lot there already. They've designed it, and then when they're happy, they publish it. So don't publish it with one update at a time. Spend that time, make sure it's all sorted, and then you can publish when you're ready and you know it's got all the content that your students or your school community require. So just to show you that link, so I've got some text now. I'm going to change this background because I'm aware that is quite difficult to read. So I've got this text here. If I wanted to put in a hyperlink rather than pasting, so for my Techie Tea Party, I gave you that link. Now that's a bit ugly. I always think a website address is quite ugly. So rather than doing that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to highlight the text that I want to do a hyperlink for. So you can always do that and click here to view, or view the website here. And then you can do the link. So you'll see on this toolbar along the top here for our text, we have this link icon. And that allows us to insert a link to that text we've highlighted. If I click on that, I can then paste underneath here that link and apply. So So you'll now see we've got this underline, and that's a hyperlink for our text to lead us to another website. Or you can use the button example as well. If I just come to insert button, I can give it a name and I can paste that link in under here as well. I wouldn't really put in the shortened links because if people are accessing this, it's a website. So I would tend to have it as a hyperlink so they can click on it rather than having it that the website's listed. Certainly people, I mean, you and I will probably go and just click on a hyperlink to lead us to another website. And splitting sections that I've joined together, yes, of course, so I'll join these up. So I've now got this picture has joined onto my text. It does annoy me when this happens as well. You click where you want it to come out, you double click there, and then we can move it. So I'll do that again. You just need to click a couple of times. Oh, stop it. And then just till you get that blue box around that one thing on its own. And then it will move. It is a bit of a faff, to be honest. You should not be putting children's names on this site if it's public, full stop. That is just a no. So if you have kids' names on the site, it should not be public. Children's names should not be listed in this way at all. I'm going to be really blunt there. No. So if you are listing it, here's my class, here's everything that you need to know. That should only be available to your students, and that should only be made available in that share with others. Change this to specific people. And then here where it says can view published, you list their names. If you're needing to put students' names in the site, I'd question why. Students' names shouldn't be on this. This is a resource you're creating. And if it is something that students are creating as a profile with their names, that will never be public on the web. That will only be visible to specific people. Can I ask about Google Meet? Yeah, I'll come to that shortly, Karen, once I've just stopped recording. And yeah, any other questions, please pop them in the chat. And I will stop recording now.